So this is the Golf 7.5 GTi. It's a 7.5 because it's an update to the 7, but not quite an 8. I recently drove the Golf 7.5 1.4 litre. There's a lot of points in that name. Anyways, the 1400 TSI Golf MK 7.5, and that's a nice house. A link to that video is in the description below. These Golfs are really, really good cars. Where the 1.4 produced 92 kilowatts, 2-litre GTi produces 169 kilowatts. GTi comes with a bunch of standard features that the TSI did not come with. So it's got sort of the premium display goodie here. It's got instead of the analog rev counter and speedometer, it's got a full digital display there too, which is something VW started doing a while ago. And it's really, really nice. Standard of the GTi are the leather seats. Come with seat warmers. It's got all the sort of red stitching you can see on the seat behind me and on the steering wheel. It's got the performance steering wheel. It says GTi at the bottom. This is a really, really nice car. It's not top-end performance. I mean, at 170 kilowatts, there's a lot on the market, especially the shape, that produces significantly more power. GTi is by no means built to try and compete with those cars. Think Audi RS3, AMG A45, etc. So this kind of just comes in as a hot hatch. It's more powerful than any other Golf. GTi kind of slots in as a comfortable, everyday family car that happens to have a significant amount of performance and a bunch of extra special bits on it. But it's not as raw in terms of power as like the Golf R is. The Golf R wouldn't really be practical as a daily family car. Really raw. It's got a hard suspension, pretty much permanently set up in sport mode. The GTi kind of has a comfort mode. In fact, GTi has like an economy mode, a comfort mode, and a sport mode. GTi just about makes the right amount of noise too. The 1.4 TSI doesn't make much noise. Golf R makes too much noise. This is like a really cool balance. And you can tell that the GTi is more performance inclined than, for instance, the 1.4 TSI is. The most remarkable difference between 1.4 TSI and the GTi is like just in the suspension and the handling. Immediately in the GTi, you're aware of the fact that the ride is slightly more choppy. There's more feedback from the road. Steering is edgier and sharper. So it's really suited for people who want a Golf, don't want a sort of regular run-of-the-mill 1.4 Golf, and want a little performance on the side, but not something 200 plus kilowatts like the Golf R. So the GTi kind of fills that gap perfectly. The Golf GTi, I suppose, is a bit of a legend in its own right. It's been around for 43 odd years since they originally made that Golf Mach 1 GTi. Those are still epic little cars. And every generation of Golf has had the GTi badge. Over the years, they've sort of waxed and waned. Recently, VW have made a couple of interesting variations of the GTi. There's the GTi Club Sport, GTi Club Sport S, which are kind of hardcore versions of the GTi, but not quite all-wheel drive hardcore versions like the Golf R is. So even like within the GTi brand, there's like this branching out of different cars. My personal opinion about the GTi though is I think it's as near to sort of the perfect car as you can get. And let me explain why. It's practical enough as like a family car. It's got a decent sized boot, no compromise on any of the car's size or functionality because it's a GTi. It's still a Golf in every single sense. It looks better than the normal Golf though. I mean, the normal Golf looks good enough as it is, but the GTi looks better. It's got all kind of the red insets. It's got that honeycomb grille in the front. It's got the cool wheels. So you're kind of driving something that's a little more exciting and not as bland as the regular Golf is. And that's going to set you back about 550,000 Rand, which actually isn't that bad when you think about it. If you're going to buy properly spec'd out Series C-Class Audi A4, it'll be up in fact, the VW Tiguan, which granted is a compact SUV, that thing's going to run you R500,000. This is a far more intense and fun car to drive. As a guy who's married with a wife, 2 kids, it makes sense to me to have a car that kind of bats for each team at the same time. You want to be able to get the kids and the wife in the back and drive around like it's a normal car. In fact, put it into comfort mode and the car's quite comfortable to drive. The suspension's pliable, doesn't feel jerky, doesn't sound noisy. It's just a regular Golf. Press that button again, tap the sport mode, And there's all kinds of drama here. The other kind of cars that fill this gap are significantly more expensive. Think Audi RS4, probably Audi S4. They're practical family cars, but they have that sort of sporty, this car's so much fun. They kind of have that sporty performance edge. This GTi is the same thing, just a lot cheaper, a lot more affordable. This is something the average family man can aspire to. Volkswagen have also introduced a whole really cool sort of towing system with the GTi. But even if you had to go on holiday somewhere, you could hook up a trailer and you could tow, they say, up to about 1,800 kilos, which is a lot for a small car like this. That's the thing. That's why it's such a perfect car, is you can treat it like a everyday family car. You can go on holiday. It's got low profile wheels, but they're not that low that a dirt road wreck and ruin the drive. But the majority of my day is spent driving around alone in a car, driving to clients, driving to work. Kind of you're out and about, and the kids are at school. You're alone in the car, and that's when you want to engage the sport button and have a bit of a go at it. It's beautiful. Steering on this car really is good. The other thing with the GTi is you don't have to be going crazy fast to feel like you're having fun. I mean, I'm driving the speed limit. This is a windy road. Speed limit's 90. The car sounds good. It handles well. I'm actually enjoying the drive. If you bring some proper performance cars through here, you really have to step it up a notch to get that same feeling. So after 43 years of building Golf GTIs, Volkswagen really have a flawless recipe for this. The last couple of GTIs I drove have been as good in their generation. This one has some significant upgrades in terms of the tech department. But as a car, how they get that amount of grip out of a front-wheel drive beyond me. This road is quite bumpy, and I've come through here with some other performance cars that have left me needing to change my underwear afterwards. But even though I'm having a bit of fun in the GTi, I'm not going that fast. GTi is great. It really is great. Holding onto that gear, there's such a good rhythm to it. You don't feel like you have to push it too hard. You can kind of just flow through the corners. You're not braking, accelerating. Grip is quite staggering. Brakes are pretty good too. I think what really gives the GTi edge is the fact that it comes standard with a DSG gearbox. I know you get the manuals, and all hardcore manual fans out there will be disagreeing with me, but this GTi DSG gearbox, just perfect. Just is fantastic. You can hear the gear changes in the engine notes, but you can't feel them. Not even the slightest bit. Not like we're changing low down either. We're changing at 5.5, 6,000 RPM. It's not going to rip up the road with 0 to 100 times. It's not going to set land speed records. But as an everyday car that you can drive relatively safely around town, this is really, really good. Driving the GTi isn't the only thing that makes it special. As I mentioned earlier, it's like a whole bunch of bits to this car that are actually really nice. So I'm going to pull over here and show you some of that. So for starters, it's a really good looking car, and it's got a full LED light cluster over there. It's got red insets on the lights, the honeycomb grille. One of the big upgrades to the Golf 7.5 is the whole new grille and bumper set at the front, as well as new bumpers at the back, along with a wing at the top. These wheels are also unique to the Golf 7.5, so you won't get them on the 7. Or the 6 or the 5. And I'll just point out that both the lights on the front and the back are full LED lights standard on the GTi. Of course, the GTi comes with a bunch of badges. So there's the GTi badge on the front here. There's the GTi badge on the side here. And of course, the infamous GTi badge on the back too. Dual tailpipes, LED lights as I mentioned. And overall, it's a really, really good looking car. It looks so much fiercer and meaner and more butch than the regular Golf does. Then on the inside, that's where stuff gets really interesting. So as I mentioned earlier, it's got a completely digital dash here. You've got different views on car information, your audio, telephone, vehicle status, lap timers, so if you're really into setting some laps. And that entire dashboard is digital. Steering wheel is pretty cool too. And then of course there's this whole center console. So that's Apple CarPlay currently plugged into my phone. So that's the menu, gives you all your car controls there, media, vehicle information, navigation, traffic, and it's all a touch screen. It's a really good looking screen. It looks attractive when you get into the car. In addition, all the buttons over here are kind of part of a seamless screen. The only complaint I have with all of this is that the volume button over there are sort of touch buttons. I just really like the analog feel of reaching out and rotating a knob. When you move your hand closer to the screen, it brings up the menu. So without touching the screen, those menus will appear. And that's pretty cool. The rest of the inside has had like a mild upgrade, but still typical VW Golf quality, really good feel, really good build. And as I mentioned earlier, there's this sort of red stitching on the inside of the steering wheel. So that's the Golf GTi in a nutshell. It's a really, really superb car. It looks good. It drives really well. It's not the top end, but it's really affordable and a fantastic, fantastic combination of practical everyday car with performance car. If you enjoyed that video, click subscribe at the bottom and share this video if you want, and stay tuned for more videos. One of the best features of this GTi is the reverse angle camera.